Good afternoon, everyone.
Welcome back to the Good Afternoon Show.
These are your hosts, Arya
and Malak.
Today's thought for the day is a quote by someone extremely close to all our hearts, our founder, Mrs. Sushila George. A leader should be equipped as a servant who is teachable, just, contented, God-fearing, approachable, and committed. Quite relevant to today's conversation, one on leadership. And there's no one better to take advice on leadership from other than Mrs. George.
In this feature, we'll be talking about what it takes to run a school, the crucial role leaders play in the educational aspect of society, and their undeniable influence when it comes to molding minds for the future.
Leaders exist in every corner of society and come in many forms, from mentors to professional school teachers, parents, caretakers. The potential and scope of leaders are endless. They may pass on academic knowledge, but also vital lessons in life that teach us how to walk through hard times that are arguably just as important.
Thus, we are very delighted to have Mr. Aaron Grandin, our chairman, here with us.
We will proceed to interview an impressive personality and hopefully get a glimpse into his professional life, running an institution and all tales behind the classroom.
To begin with, what would you say you were like as a student?
Until I reached high school, I was a good student. Grades were things that were easily achieved by me. I didn't have to put any much time studying. If I could just listen to the teacher talk, I didn't even have to look at what the person was doing, and I could pretty much just kind of regurgitate the information back out on a test. On occasion, but not often until I got to high school, could get me into trouble if I was bored. I often was kind of the class clown. I would distract other classmates or potentially the teacher when she was trying to give a lesson. But when I got to high school, everything got a little bit more serious. All the subjects got significantly harder. I found myself struggling a little bit because I never had to develop the studying skills. So I had to learn all of that very quickly. Yes, my grades fell off just a touch, but I managed to finish high school with a pretty good GPA. My antics, once I gained some freedom. So it's something that you guys don't usually have to get into is when kids in high school in the US reach 16 and they want to get a car, you usually had to have a job to go along with it. And so you would go to school during the day and work in the evenings. So I was balancing schoolwork, a job, trying to maintain grades so that I can get into the college I wanted to. It kept my behavior tempered a little bit. So not too bad, but I wouldn't say perfect.
So besides the very evident technological aspects, what do you think has changed about education in the past versus now?
A lot has changed and not much has changed. Education has always been more than just teaching kids how to read, how to write. It's also taught them how to interact socially, work as a team, think outside of set boxes. I think that's why you guys have fared better when it comes to the constraints that the pandemic has put on us. You guys were able to very quickly adapt to total online shift of classes initially and then evolving into a hybrid situation. Technology has played a huge role in that. Just comparing my experience for some of the sciences, for example, we did have labs, but the depth in which you guys are able to go in a lab wasn't there for me. We did some basic dissections, but you guys have the ability to go fairly in depth.
So you being the chairman, what piece of advice would you relay to students who want to assume this position of leadership in the future or similar ones?
I don't really think of myself as a perfect leader. One of the things that I hold as a foundation to leadership is a willingness to serve. I think it's important for me to be able to have the position that I do, to build a relationship with the employees that they understand that I wouldn't ask them to do something that I wouldn't be willing to do myself. And I may not have the skills necessary to do everything that they do, but I'm willing to tackle it. Approaching any problem that we faced since I've been in this position with that mindset has, number one, allowed me to think about problems outside of the constraints that maybe a teacher would think about a problem because I come from a different background. But it also allows us some grace when we attempt to solve problems. Maybe we don't get it right the first or even the second time, but we are all working together. I would say learn as much as you can about everything that you can. Being too focused can be a limitation. It can make you very good at that one thing. Leadership encompasses so many different things.
I'm pretty sure everyone listening to this right now will certainly gain inspiration. So, your influence on students is undeniable and inevitable. You're molding the coming generation's minds. So, does that add pressure when it comes to making decisions?
Absolutely, it does. Every decision that we make as a team, we have to consider the impact on the kids. Ultimately, we have to change our strategy to adapt to whatever the world looks like at the current time. We have to make sure that we equip them with not only the knowledge, but the skills, the interactability to tackle whatever might come as the world changes and adjusts to whatever situations we see.
Yeah, so to end this productive session, we have one last question. What do you wish to see here in Merryland in the future?
Merryland is unique. It provides an extremely rigorous academic foundation. I don't want to change that. Things that I would like to bring in addition would be to try to expand the curriculum in regards to foreign languages, additional technological aspects, formalizing our sports teams. I would like to engage with the other schools locally, nationally, internationally. Before the pandemic hit, we were trying to provide students with a lot more activities where they got to interact and compete against students from other schools or potentially even other countries. I would like to see, if the pandemic lightens up, I would like to see an expansion in those realms. Where we see relevance to the student, we will attempt to always bring those things in and make sure that kids have a good foundation before they leave us. Providing students an opportunity not only to discuss it, but also potentially do something about it through an organization that's founded through the school, or whether it's the school joining with another organization that's doing work that solves the problems that we see in this world.
Now let's gain valuable insight into the lives of admirable MIS graduates.
So to start off, can you introduce yourself?
I think it's safe for me to assume that it's probably afternoon whenever you're watching or listening to this. So I hope you're having a good afternoon. But anyway, my name is Rajaram and I graduated from Merryland in 2017, marking the end of a 14-year-long journey with the school. And at the moment I'm in the midst of my final year exams in chemical engineering at Imperial College in London, and in a couple of months I'll be graduating. It is fascinating. It feels like yesterday I was finishing off high school and here I am finishing off university.
Good morning. I am Fatma Gil, previous MIS president, academic year 2016-2017. I am currently in my 4th year at Ryerson University, Toronto, Canada, majoring in chemical engineering. I'm also currently doing my internship as a project engineer at a huge pharmaceutical company named Bayer.
My name is Shah Muhammad Ilyas, and I was a student at MIS and ex-member of the MIS Student Council. I graduated and left MIS in 2015. I'm studying petroleum geosciences. It's basically various fields, including geology, geophysics, and the focus is on petroleum.
So my name is Rasiru Ekanayaka. I'm currently working at the Royal Melbourne as a neurosurgery registrar. I used to go to Sherwood Academy. Back in those days, it wasn't Merryland International School. I went from being the vice head boy to the head boy and the chair of the student council, and that would have been back in 2011.
So it's been a while since you graduated. What do you miss the most about school?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't think it's been very long since I graduated. It doesn't feel that way anyway. So whoever's trying to set me this question is trying to make me feel old. It's not working. I would say that what I miss the most is, this may sound cliche, but it is the people. All the way from my friends, to my teachers, to all the aunties and uncles as well. You meet a lot of new people at university, but I think it's the school friends that tend to stick because they've known you the longest. And I also think that I had a close relationship with majority of my teachers. I was outside the class more than I was in, much to the frustration of many of my teachers. I think they'd vouch for that. It was fun at the time, bunking class. It was stressful as well because I had to manage studies and programs at the time. And the last thing I miss is the teachers. They're very well aware of each student's capabilities, performance, caliber, and they're constantly finding ways to improve that student's performance.
I honestly wish I could go back. Number 1. Good morning, teacher. No matter how old we grow, the slang nor the song never changes. Breakfast breaks. The best part about school life was those last 3 minutes before the third period were the longest wait, but the shared breakfast that we all had were literally worth the wait. I miss it so much. And lastly, friends. The place where we come across multiple characters. We form innocent friendships without any need. The place which gives us people for a lifetime.
How did MIS prepare you in transitioning from high school to university, and what was the biggest issue you faced?
The change in the level of independence that you get. Obviously, you're more free in university. There's no one on your back constantly nagging you to do the things that they want you to do. It's very easy to slack off, and it happens to the best people, even the ones that are really smart. I mean, I was textbook definition of a nerd. You need to have an underlying sense of responsibility. In my university, no one knows if you turn up, no one knows if you're alive or dead. Merryland also taught me to juggle a lot of things at once. You are trying to manage your degree, laundry, cooking for yourself, managing your finances. So juggling all of these requires a great deal of time management. I would encourage you all to actively take part in all the extracurriculars, whether it's Miss Malini's book clubs and debate clubs or it's the student council.
I think MIS prepares students quite well for transitioning, so I really didn't have much issues in the first semester of university. You will notice that you're going to learn everything you did in AS and A levels once again. You have an advantage in studies that allows you to pay more attention to other things going on in university because now you're in a diverse culture. You do not need to devote to studies so that you can, get familiarized with the environment. You can make some new friends in university. I might say the biggest issue. How to get around campus, but after 1 or 2 days, you study the campus map, and you're good to go.
I think at Sherwood, sorry guys, I'm just going to call it Sherwood. That's what we were used to. But they always taught us a big emphasis on being disciplined and academic from an early age. It was always about putting your study first before anything, including PE periods back in the day. But we were a bit rebellious when we were younger, but I think it definitely instilled in us a discipline that we've kept. When I went through my last 2 years at Sherwood, we had an intensive learning program, affectionately called the intensive care unit, where you just went in and it was just a bunker and you just did lots and lots of past papers and quizzes, and they really geared us up for exams. I think what Sherwood has told me the most is be proactive, be disciplined, and hopefully never have to cram when it comes to taking exams.
So if you could go back to your school days, is there anything that you would do differently? And if so, why would you do it differently?
To be honest, if I could press the reset button, I would. I would do half of the things differently. I definitely had a good time, but I had bad times too. And for anyone out there who thinks that you can just relax at high school, let me let you in on a secret. High school never ends. What you learn in school does affect your life. The way you handle social situations, the way you handle yourself at work, the way you approach people, the way you approach learning in general. There's so many things.
Honestly, there isn't much I would do differently though. We had some pretty amazing times. I only wish we could relive them now. So I wish that I could go back, but I wouldn't do anything differently.
What did your time in the student council teach you about leadership? Are you still implementing any of those leadership skills?
My leadership experience definitely gave my confidence. I was able to network more in university because, to be honest, while looking for an internship, you really have to fake it till you make it. You really need to go out there. From being a leader helped me gain management skills. It helped me recognize myself, to be honest. It really boosted my resume.
Going into middle school, I was always quite introverted. And really, it was only towards the end, with lots of encouragement from my friends, that I started applying to become a prefect and then went into leadership roles. I think the biggest change is it has forced me to become somewhat extroverted. And I would definitely be in a position now where I would speak my mind.
So if you were to give an advice to students about leadership, what would it be?
I would suggest you guys to always find great ideas. It might be difficult, you don't have time, you have exams, but try to do at least one thing. If you cannot do 10 different things, and leave something behind.
I wish I hadn't psyched myself with the pressure of getting the top mark or making sure that everybody in the world is happy with me. There's always going to be a critic. You just got to accept that and move on. So my key point is to take care of yourself. Choose the subjects that you really think you're going to excel in. Do your best in those subjects, aim high, and the results will just automatically follow. And don't try to impress everybody. Right, on that note, I'd just like to say thank you very much for having me on this. I hope this is helpful and hasn't bored you to sleep. My best regards to all the teachers and to Mrs. George. I hope she's doing well. I haven't seen ma'am since I graduated. Take care, bye-bye, and stay safe.
I hope that you guys are doing a great job, and thank you very much.
It's time we bid our mentors farewell. We are very grateful to them for joining us and laying out their insights. It was a pleasure to hear their experiences. We hope this was as precious of a conversation to you as it was to us. These are your hosts, Malak
And Arya signing off.